you can understand, right, why people who don't know anything about this would hear the word digital ghetto and say, this guy's comparing what's happening to people on Parler to the Nazis. If you have no understanding of this whatsoever, you can understand how people might react like that.
No? You really have to be a moron to not understand it. You just have to not be a deep thinker or somebody who just is not paying attention.
Or someone who's out to try to put you in the least positive light possible.
This term came from Edwin Black. He said that the digital ghetto, I think he called it the algorithmic ghetto. He has called it a digital ghetto as well. The reason why it's so important to quote him, we had him on yesterday and again on today's radio show, you can hear on podcast. He's one of the world's leading scholars on eugenics, the Holocaust, and extermination. Okay, he has dedicated his whole life for a reason. His mom escaped from the train cars in Treblinka, and his dad, you know, when they line up everybody at the pit and then shoot them, apparently he survived and escaped the death pit, and they both, unbeknownst to each other, lived in the forest for 2 years until they were freed in Poland. So, you know, he's not an anti-Semite. He's also been nominated for a Pulitzer Prize 11 times. You know, he's a deep scholar. A
serious historian that was, you know, people have talked about for this. He's not new to the scene. He's not like some conservative, you know, firebrand.
Right. And you say, and have said several times, when you come to a fork in a road, and that fork is, hey, we should sort people, we should make sure they can't buy anything, can't work, can't do things, and put them in some sort of a camp, ghetto area,
right?
Okay, separate from the rest of the community. I have a choice of doing that or not doing that. Well, I know Nazis did that. I can't think of anybody who I did that. I think I'm going to take this road.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it ends in Naziville, but it means you have a choice to steer away from it or go towards it. I steer away from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to notice the first couple of steps down the road that leads to Naziville. Right. Like,
and by the way, Naziville is the place where all the Jews went and they live a happy, happy life. That's what by the way, that's sarcasm. That's what the Nazis said they were doing with the Jews.
So it's tough because I can understand if you don't know Edwin Black, maybe you think, you know, you think Glenn Beck, you don't like Glenn Beck, you're going to throw these things out there. But like, is there a moment?
Because they don't ever assume that I've read, researched, or studied anything.
I mean, can we go back to the time that you were named the 100th most important person in the world of art?
Yeah.
If you remember, what that was based on was you talking about the symbolism of a lot of the art in Rockefeller Center.
Yeah.
And you did this big monologue on it, and you talked about all of that, and immediately the media attacked you and said, this guy's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then you pulled out the book, like, I think it was being sold at Rockefeller Center.
Oh yeah, no, it is the authoritative book on art of Rockefeller Center. And they were like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, maybe he should read a book. It's the book on the art of Rockefeller Center.
So they don't like you. They assume, right, you're just making stuff up and making Nazi analogies.
And then they never apologize.
And they're never going to apologize. But my question is do you believe, is there a moment, right, a quiet moment at home where, you know, Jake Tapper was kind of the one we talked about him most, but he was not alone by any means. Tons of people attacked you over this.
What is it, the American Holocaust or Jewish Holocaust, whatever.
And
Edwin Black said, I've given the speech with some of these people in the room.
Right. He gave the speech where he talked about the digital ghetto for the official state commemoration of the Holocaust for the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
But like, is there a moment where they say, gosh, I blew that one. Like, I should have known that this digital ghetto thing comes from a historian. I didn't know it. I've accused now a guy in public of something terrible, and I was wrong. Should I correct myself? Forget correcting yourself publicly. Do you think about it? Is there any lesson learned for these guys?
No, because there's no pain for these guys. There's never any pain that they feel. They are isolated in their own little ivory tower, surrounded by people who think exactly the same thing. They don't hear anything and take it seriously because no one in their circle says anything. And by the way, it's just crazy Glenn Beck anyway. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You only learn. This is why I was against the bailout of the banks. One of the reasons. One of the reasons was because you are going to have a banking system that will continue to do the same bad things. They will never be able to heal because they didn't have to pay for the pain that they caused. They didn't feel the pain themselves. And unless you feel the pain yourself and have a few scars from the battle, you're weak. You have a weak argument because you've never been pushed up against the wall. And until you feel the pain to where you have to soul search, as every conservative has, and said, well, wait a minute, am I surrounded by bigots? Is this white supremacy? Is this white privilege? What is this? Because we're challenged every day.
Yeah, and I think I do see that from conservatives through what we're going through now, right? Like, I think a lot of people looked at, I could say this personally, and I've talked about this on the air a little bit, but like, I heard everything about how all this Trump crowd is going to be violent 900,000 times from the media, and 900,000 times in a row, it wasn't true. Mm-hmm. And then on the 900,001st time, it was true.
Because we lost our discipline, and I speak specifically of the organizers of that rally. If people don't understand, because they haven't taken the time to do the research, they haven't talked to behavioral scientists or read about behavioral scientists, they haven't read simple things like Ordinary Men, research of what happens to people in these kinds of situations. And so they just don't know what they're doing. There was an easy way to make sure that was a very powerful statement, and they didn't take any of it. And it's not because I think that they had ill will. Some people in the crowd did. I'm talking about the organizers. I don't think they had ill will. I don't think they were like, let's blow up the Capitol or whatever. Yeah. They just didn't. They don't think about these things. They don't take them seriously.
And I think, we've talked about this too. Like, there's some level of being lulled asleep by 900,000 times in a row where you don't need to say that.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting, and BlazeTV obviously has a big audience that follow a lot of different hosts now. But for the people who've been here for a long time, going back to the originations of BlazeTV and before that with the radio show, people are going to remember you making a very big deal about this over and over and over again, from Restoring Honor to Birmingham. I remember you making a big deal about this.
Restoring Love,
making sure that people are nonviolent and focusing on that, not because it seemed like it was about to happen at that moment, but because it needed to be something that was part of your nature, right?
Well,
you had to be practiced.
Yes. Part of it is, Stu, I've talked about this before, that I'm not smart enough to see all the things that were coming. You know what I mean? Look how many times that we've been right. When I'm right, it's not me. Mm-hmm. Okay? When I'm wrong, most likely me. Or timing. Mm-hmm. And I'm bad at timing because it's a flat wall. So when I first started talking about this in 2008, it felt like it was right on top of us. As I have matured in my thinking, etc., I realized, no, God has a different time than I have. And he's just like, here it is. This is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. That's what I saw. But it's now here. Now is here. So I was preparing for a time that I thought was coming faster. But all of that stuff is so critically important right now